need to be sworn? Will he be testifying?
Yes, Your Honor, and I do have another witness that's here present with me. If you want to, I don't know if you want to swear them both at the same time or.
Okay, is that going to be your first witness?
No, my client will be the first witness, Your Honor.
Okay, so will she be able to go to a different room or go somewhere else?
Yes, ma'am. I can have her go out into the waiting room.
Okay, we're on record in cause number CR 2328766, State of Texas versus James David Head. Please state your appearance for the record.
Jessica McDonald, attorney for Mr. Head.
Shane Hazelton for the state.
All those.
Deborah Head.
A witness.
Witness.
Okay. All those intending to testify, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. And if Ms. Head can go to a different room?
Ms. Head, go ahead and just wait right out.
And Judge, I will have one witness who was going to be logging on here in a few minutes, but she'll be on, I believe, about a couple more minutes.
Okay. All right. Ms. McDonald?
Yes, Your Honor. By way of just a brief opening, I expect that through my witnesses today will show the court that the presiding judge, Judge Blake, who has presided in Fannin County for a number of years, so she often knows parties and players that come before her court, and that does not in itself rise to the level of any need to recuse her. I believe that the evidence will show today that in this particular case, my client, Mr. Head, is the ex-husband of one of Judge Blake's former court reporters. I believe that the evidence will show that there have been outside of the courtroom, outside of the just her interaction with him in the courtroom, that there were things like Judge Blake visiting when Mr. Head's ex-wife had a baby and things of that nature. I further expect that the testimony will show that the divorce between Mr. Head and his now ex-wife was quite contentious and ugly. And I believe the evidence will show that my next witness, Miss Deborah Head, has actually had some criminal charges filed against her that were in front of Judge Blake, arising out of incidents with Mr. Head's ex-wife, again, the person with whom Judge Blake had, at least a professional relationship, and perhaps a bit more when you take into account, her doing nice things like, sending baby gifts or visiting after.
Buckle up, guys. Today we're diving into the bizarre world of a sovereign citizen who's facing his fourth DUI and now wants a judge kicked off the case. The video opens with the courtroom setting and the defense attorney explaining why they're calling witnesses. Right away, tension builds as we see a lawyer try and control a chaotic case already sabotaged by her own client and his unpredictable family. 18
B, Rule of Civil Procedure 18B, that you recuse Judge Blake because she very well may have a personal bias against Mr. Head based on her interactions with him and other members of his family. And if not, then we're asking that you grant that under 18B1, that the impartiality might reasonably be questioned. We want our justice system to not even have the appearance of any impropriety. And so with all the factors we expect to show you today, we ask that you find under 18B 1 and or 2 that Judge Blake should be recused from this particular case. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that, Judge.
You can call your first witness.
Thank you. I will call James Head. Mr. Head, please state your name for the court.
James David Head.
How old are you, Mr. Head?
46.
And how long have you lived in Fannin County?
For 30 years.
Now, you are currently under an indictment for a DWI third offense, and that is being that case was indicted into the 336 Judge Blake's court. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. Head, did you know Judge Blake at all prior to coming into her courtroom the first time for this case?
Yes.
And when is the first time that you met Judge Blake?
I met Judge Blake going nearly 14 years, November, when my last child was born. And
who's your last child, and who was the mother of that child?
Shannon.
I'm sorry?
Shannon, which her maiden name was Sudworth.
Okay. Shannon Sudworth. And so Shannon, if we say Shannon, use that first name, that is your ex-wife. Is that right?
Correct.
How long were you and Shannon married?
We were married 11 years.
And what does Shannon do for a living?
She's a stenographer, court reporter.
And did she ever work for Judge Blake?
Yes, she freelanced with Blake in the past.
Okay. So, in other words, Judge Blake has a court reporter that's assigned and in her court most days. Is that right?
Correct.
Shannon did not work as that type of court reporter that was in Judge Blake's court every day. Is that right?
That's what I understand. Yes.
Okay. But you said you met Judge Blake when your last child was born 14 years ago. Can you describe where were you when you met her?
We were in the Greenville Hospital. It was probably a day or two after. Like I say, this is, by memory, 14 years ago. But I do remember her, Miss Blake, coming in and having, a little thing.
All right, guys, here the defense begins an argument for recusal, claiming that Judge Blake has a personal connection with the defendant's ex-wife, who once worked for her. The attorney tries to sound reasonable, but the story quickly gets messy. We're talking baby visits, old friendships, and family drama being used as evidence of bias. This setup already tells you the case is headed for a crash landing.
And you had not met Judge Blake prior to that, correct?
No, ma'am.
Did you? So were you aware at that point that your then wife had worked for Judge Blake?
Yes.
Okay. And so did you? Were you actually still in the hospital with the baby?
Yes.
Okay. Where was your daughter born?
In the hospital in Greenville. I don't know the name of the hospital. But it's in
And
Greenville.
so Judge Blake traveled to Greenville and visited there. Is that right?
Correct.
What year did you and Shannon divorce?
In 2017.
And can you describe, was that an amicable divorce? Was it contentious? Can you describe that?
At first it was both sides, and then it started getting real contentious at the end.
Now, your divorce was not in front of Judge Blake, is that correct?
Correct. No, it wasn't.
It was here in Fannin County, though, is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Did Judge Butler preside over that matter?
Judge Butler did. Yes, sir.
Okay. During the divorce, would you describe that? How would you describe things between you and Shannon? Well, let me ask you this. Today, do you and Shannon maintain a civil relationship today?
No, we do not.
Do you speak to each other?
No.
do you have any possession and custody rights to your 14-year-old daughter?
I do, but I haven't. We usually had like a week, every other weekend, and that was eliminated last February.
Okay. And did Shannon take you back to court for that?
No, ma'am.
How did that become eliminated?
She stopped coming to my house to stay every other weekend, to where my boy was staying every other week. And now with all of this, with me going to jail in February.
Now things heat up as a lawyer insists Judge Blake should be removed due to personal bias and appearance of impropriety. The reasoning? She once gave the defendant's ex-wife a baby gift. You can practically feel the desperation here. The defense wants to turn simple human kindness into corruption, while the court maintains calm professionalism, a stark contrast between logic and paranoia.
During the course of your divorce, well, let me ask you this. Are you aware of whether or not your mom has been prosecuted in the court where Judge Blake presides?
Yes.
Were you present in court for any of those occasions?
Yes.
Did you were with your mom in Judge Blake's court? Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And for what was your mom being prosecuted?
She keyed my ex-wife's car after a hearing with Judge Butler in Judge Butler's court. And Shannon, my ex-wife.
So, and to be fair, your mom pled guilty, said she did that. Is that right?
Yes, she did.
But the keying of the car, the Criminal Mischief Act, happened during the course of the divorce between you and Shannon.
Yes. Yes, it did.
I'm sorry. Okay.
It did.
And that case was prosecuted in front of Judge Blake.
Yes.
Do you have reason to believe that Judge Blake has a personal bias against you?
I do.
Objection, calls for speculation, Judge.
Sustained.
Do you feel like you've been treated fairly in front of Judge Blake?
No, ma'am. I haven't.
Why not?
I'm not it happened with my mother, and now it's happened to me now. And with the way I've been out on bond, I've done everything that I was asked to do. Maybe not in a timely manner, not on my part, but on getting these devices and all this. And I feel like that she's really biased against me just because of my past with my ex-wife. I don't know if she's like taking sides or what, but it's just, I'm not getting a fair trial on this.
You were, when you were first arrested on the offense that's currently in front of you, you were, a bond was set and you made that bond and bonded out of jail. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
The magistrate who set your bond, did they put conditions on you of having to wear the scram device?
No, ma'am, they didn't.
When Judge Blake reviewed your bond, did she add that device?
Yes, she did.
Now, you understand that Judge Blake can amend bond conditions as she sees fit to protect the community.
Correct.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay, so that in and of itself is not anything to show that she treated you unfairly. Would you agree with that?
Well, when I first got out on bond in May of 2023, I didn't have any bond conditions other than going in and to check in with the bond officer. I double checked with my bail bondsman, and there was no stipulations on scram device or anything on my bond conditions at that time. So that's when a warrant was issued for this past February. And that's when I was arrested on a traffic violation. And I asked her what was my warrant for, and it was for not having a scram device.
And when you bonded out,
In April.
you were not informed. In fact, you got a copy of the bond conditions and the scram was not on that. Is that right?
Here comes the main act. The defendant, James Head, takes a stand. He's confident, trying to sound like a victim of judicial bias. He starts recounting events from 14 years ago, recalling how the judge brought flowers after his child was born. It's supposed to prove favoritism, but it does the opposite. His story feels weak and distant, and every sentence he utters digs a credibility hole deeper.
In addition to that, Judge Blake also set some other bond conditions, including that you go to NAAA classes 3 times a week. Is that right?
Yes.
And that you attend and participate in the freedom of choice drug and alcohol program. Is that right?
Yes.
And you understand that she's mandated by law to order that you have an interlock device on your vehicle. And she did that. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, did you, through me, ask this. Did you at one time inform Judge Blake that you wanted to represent yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you still at this time wish she would have allowed you to represent yourself?
Yes.
Did you feel like Judge Blake allowed you to represent yourself?
No, ma'am.
Tell the court why you feel that way.
Because she just, the way I feel it is that she thinks that I can't take care of my own affairs. I'm an infant in her court.
And now I was appointed first as standby counsel. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Where you could still represent yourself, but she had me basically there's support for you. Is that right?
Correct.
Did you want that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Do you now when I was appointed, I filed a motion at your request for the judge asking her to modify some of your bond conditions. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Can you tell Judge Cooks what you do for a living?
Yes, Judge. I'm a farmer full time. I work long hours, many days. I can't. I tried to get with her with on the bond conditions to help me out because I'm working and I'm pretty much like second in command of the farm, and they really need me. And I just I operate heavy equipment. And at a certain time, she was wanting to put deep lung devices on all the equipment that we operate. It was I was fine with putting it on my personal pickup to get back and forth to work, but she's seen other ways.
So let me ask you this, Mr. Head. The first motion to modify bond conditions, were you asking her to take into consideration that given the harvest season coming up, you were going to work extra long hours? Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
And the bond conditions that you attend NAAA 3 times a week and that you attend and work with freedom of choice, were those putting an extreme burden on your ability to take care of your responsibilities at work?
The AA meetings I was doing online, which I was doing those 3 times a week. I could do that by my telephone in late evenings. I was doing those. With the freedom of choice, I got enrolled to it to get to get those classes started, and then I had to report in on the August 2nd to check in for these bond conditions if I've done what I was told to do by Miss Blake. Other than
So just to get some background, when we filed the motion to modify bond conditions and I had a hearing, Judge Blake learned that you did not have an interlock device on your vehicle. Is that right?
That's correct.
But you indicated to her you didn't have a license and you weren't driving that vehicle. Is that right?
That's correct.
But you did indicate you were still working, and did she order that you have then the interlock device on any of the farm equipment that you were operating?
In this section, James describes his past with his ex-wife, who was a court reporter for the judge. He admits they had a messy, bitter divorce, and that the judge wasn't even part of it. What's striking is how his own testimony undercuts his case. Instead of showing bias, he confirms the judge had little involvement in his personal drama. The argument for recusal now looks like a hollow conspiracy theory unraveling in real time.
To go immediately, whether you were going to drive your vehicle or not, and put the interlock device on your vehicle. Is that right?
That is correct.
Waiting, Judge.
And I'm sorry. Okay. So that was reset. Did you make an appointment to try to get that put on your vehicle?
Yes, I did. I got with Smart Start and had to schedule a meeting. And I went to that meeting 2 days before I had court on August 2nd. And somehow that place in Denison, Shipman Communications, didn't have me in the system to have that interlock device installed that day. So I had to reschedule for the following Wednesday.
And your probation, the person you report to at probation was able to confirm that and inform the judge of that. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
But she had also said you had to get enrolled at Freedom of Choice. Did you have an appointment to enroll at Freedom of Choice?
I did, yes.
Were you able to make that appointment?
I wasn't. It was the week before I had that court on that Friday. And so I called and had it rescheduled for that following Wednesday, the same time that I would get the interlock device put on my vehicle.
So the August 2nd court date, when Judge Blake revoked your bond, you were able to tell Judge Blake that, I'm sorry, August 2nd, when you were asked if you'd enrolled in Freedom of Choice and you told the court you'd had to move that appointment, is that when your bond was revoked?
I already did. I got enrolled the Wednesday before the 2nd, before I went to court. So I was enrolled into that class at that time.
So do you feel like your bond was revoked? Well, what is your perception of why your bond was revoked?
Well, I still don't really know why my bond was revoked, because she ordered the scram device to be put on me in April when I left the jail, and I wore it for 4 months and never had a violation on it at all. And she pretty much revoked my bond because of a date discrepancy of when I needed to get
And
enrolled.
do you have confidence that going forward for your trial on the merits, that Judge Blake will be a fair and impartial justice to oversee your case?
No, I do not.
Is there any other reason, anything else you want Judge Cooks to hear?
No, just that I feel unfair in this whole court case. I know it's started as a DWI case, but it's turned into violating my rights, and it feels like I'm guilty until proven innocent. And I've missed a lot of work. I've missed the corn harvest. My boss had to actually call in a harvest crew to come in and combine our corn for us because I wasn't there to work. We're a small farm, but I mean.
Things take a wild turn as James talks about his mother's criminal history. She keyed his ex-wife's car during the divorce and was prosecuted by the same judge he now accuses of bias. His mom pleaded guilty, and yet he uses that as proof the judge is unfair. The irony is thick. The more he talks, the clearer it becomes that his problems come from his family's actions, not from the courtroom's decisions.
Ask the witness.
Mr. Hazelton?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Head, in the beginning of this case, you initially had another counsel, right?
I did.
Okay, what was that attorney's name?
It was Jackie Van Zett.
Okay, and at some time during that, you decided to represent yourself, isn't that true?
I did.
Okay, you also wrote letters to the court and you filed motions on your behalf, isn't that true?
I did.
Okay, and some of that you quoted about naval law and based some of your laws that you were basing these motions on, is that correct?
It was a conditional acceptance.
Okay, based on what kind of laws were you arguing in those motions?
It's the constitutional law.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
It's the actual law that comes from the Supreme Court rulings.
Okay, what were those motions you were filing?
What were they?
Yes.
It was just a conditional acceptance. I would accept what y'all are trying to get me to do with the DWI case. And if all I was asking was, for like your oath of office, Judge Blake's oath of office. I mean, are we still in what jurisdiction were we going to be in? That sort of thing.
Okay, and we had a hearing on this, and there were some issues during that where you disagreed with Judge Blake on her rulings. Isn't that true?
Not actually her rulings.
Okay, with the jurisdiction of the court, though, you took issue with the jurisdiction of this court.
Is that a ruling?
During the initial hearings we had, do you recall those, the first time you appeared on this court?
Yes, the arraignment.
Okay, and you took issues with her rulings about the jurisdiction of this court?
I did, yes.
Okay, and that's based on your beliefs of the Constitution that they didn't have this jurisdiction, this court didn't have jurisdiction over you, isn't that true?
I was trying to see which jurisdiction y'all had over me, and y'all would never give it to me.
Okay, what jurisdictions were you referring to?
The law of the land, a maritime law.
Now, James claims he's been treated unfairly because of bond conditions, devices, AA meetings, and monitoring. But then reality hits hard. Every condition was lawful and standard. His story falls apart as the prosecutor later shows he did sign those exact conditions. It's the classic sovereign citizen spiral. Rewriting facts to fit a false narrative, only to be undone by paperwork and evidence.
Okay, we had a hearing after you got arrested on your initial bond violations, and judge gave you conditions then as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we clarified, and those same conditions existed then, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we had this hearing in July 12th of this year. Then during that hearing, did you not inform the court that you were not driving a motor vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. Also during that hearing, you informed the court that you were operating tractors as part of your job, correct?
Correct.
During that testimony, you also informed the court through your attorney's questions that you were driving some of those tractors across public highways and on public highways, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you would agree with me that those tractors are motor vehicles, correct?
No, I do not.
Why not?
Are they a license registered through the state of Texas?
Do they meet the legal requirements of, and that's what the court informed you, that they would meet the legal requirements of a motor vehicle during that hearing. Do you remember that?
No, I don't believe I've actually heard actual farm equipment being a licensed motor vehicle.
Well, the court informed you during that hearing that they would meet the legal definition and that she would plausibly require you to put interlocks on those tractors if you did not comply with putting it on your truck, correct?
I was complying to get it put on my vehicle.
Mr. Head, that's what she informed you during that hearing, correct?
That's what I was doing. But I can't get it put on unless I have a meeting and to have it done. That wasn't my problem. That was with Smart Start.
Okay, and we reset that case for a week, did we not?
Yes.
So you could get somewhat into compliance, correct?
Correct.
So we came back a week later, you were still not in compliance, were you?
Not because of me. It was because of getting the device put on.
There was also issues with FOC. You still had not done your initial evaluation, had you?
I did the Wednesday before the August 2nd.
So, but this is a hearing on July 23rd. You had not done FOC at that time, had you?
No, I have not.
Okay, so you're violating the court's conditions multiple different ways, correct?
No.
So you do not believe, you did have an interlock on your vehicle?
No, I did not have that. It was not my fault. I'm waiting for them with a meeting to take my vehicle to them to get that device installed.
Okay. It was reset from July 23rd to August 2nd, in that you came to court and informed the court that you still did not have interlock on your vehicle, did you?
Correct.
Okay. This upset you?
No.
You were upset when you got arrested that day?
No.
Okay.
In the final part, the defendant doubles down, insisting he should have been allowed to represent himself. His tone turns defensive and desperate, painting the judge as controlling while admitting he refused legal help. What we're watching is a man trapped by his own arrogance, fighting the system while proving it right. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Talk to you about your prior ex-wife's employment. When did she become a court reporter?
Well, as we were dating, we got married in 2006. And as we were dating 4 years, she was in school for that. So I think she got a job maybe a couple of years before we got married. So probably maybe 04, 05, somewhere around there.
Okay, so 04, 05, she becomes a court reporter. Is she just freelancing or is she working in a particular court?
No, at that time she was freelance.
Okay, and what counties was she freelancing in?
Various counties.
Do you know which counties? How many?
Several, all over Northeast Texas.
Okay, she's freelancing all over Northeast Texas. How many times do you think she freelanced, or do you know that she freelanced inside Blake's court?
Several times.
Do you have a number?
I don't. Maybe over a dozen.
Okay, and do you know when she freelanced in Judge Blake's
I
court?
do not have that. I'm incarcerated right now.
Okay. Do you know what kind of communication your ex-wife had with Judge Blake?
I know she had a lot of communication with work, everything.
Okay. But as you mentioned, this Judge Blake did not hear your divorce.
Correct?
Okay. How you've met Judge Blake the only time was at that Greenville hospital?
Yes. I actually met her, shook her hand. Yes.
Okay. How long was she there?
Oh, I don't know, 30 minutes or so.
Okay. Did y'all have conversation?
Yes.
Okay. What did y'all talk about?
Our new born baby.
Okay. And you agree Fannin County is a small county, correct?
Seems that way.
Okay.
Correct.
Pass witness, Judge.
Okay, Ms. McDonald?
Mr. Head, is there anything that you feel like you need to clarify from your questions from Mr. Hazelton?
I'm just kind of surprised at how the state really I don't know, I want to say biased, but why are we really fighting who's the judge here? Why are we really sticking it to me with it's like he's trying to keep Blake in this whole court hearing, to keep bringing up all these.
I would call Miss Debbie.
I got questions to follow up on that.
Okay, sorry.
You said these violations are not your fault. Whose are they?
No, you're giving me the violation, these bond conditions, but I can't. I'm trying to work, I'm trying to make the money to pay for these things. But every time I turn in and come in with in Mrs. Blake's court, there's always new stipulations on these bond conditions.
Okay. What new stipulations are there?
Trying to hurry up and get this deep lung device put on my vehicle, and I can't do anything unless that company could get it done for me.
Okay. So your argument is that you didn't like the judge's ruling, so the court must be biased. Is that true?
It's not her rulings. I feel like I have done what I can get done with these rulings. But with everything that she has put on my bond violations, it is set up for me to fail.
Mr. Head, are you aware that on a DWI third, these bond conditions in Fannin County are pretty typical? Interlocks?
Objection, speculation.
I never heard the ruling, Judge. I'm having a hard time here, Judge.
Me too.
Sustained.
Okay. Mr. Head, would you agree with me that someone's on bond for a DWI third? It's important to make sure that individual is staying sober so the community can be safe.
I do agree, yes.
Okay. And devices such as Scram, Interlock, attending AA, and freedom of choice, these are tools that some courts could employ to help individuals who have been accused of DWIs multiple times to keep the community safe. Would you agree?
I do agree with that, yes.
Okay. And this is your DWI third, but this is actually your
Witness, Your Honor. May I get Miss Debbie?
Yes. You may. Okay, your witness.
Yes, call Ms. Head. Please state your name for the record. And Ms. Head, are you the mother of James David Head?
Yes, I am.
All right. And are you familiar with James's ex-wife, Shannon?
Yes.
Were you, where do you live?
Hector?
So in Fannin County.
Yes.
How long have you lived here?
All my life.
Did you ever go to court or participate in any way in the divorce proceedings between James and Shannon?
Yes, I went.
How would you describe the divorce from what you observed? Was it, did they get along? Were they able to work it out, or was it fairly contentious?
I couldn't work it out.
Okay. And was there an incident when you violated the law during the course of the divorce?
I did.
What did you do?
I keyed her car.
And when you say her, who are you talking about?
Shannon.
Can you describe the circumstances surrounding that?
Well, when I went to court, I went in there and sat down, and of course, you know, they're all gonna, you're a mother, so it's hard to hear the side, you know, but it was all her side and how bad he was. And so I just stood up and asked if I could say something. Of course, they said no. He told me to sit down, and I was going to sit down, and the bailiff said, "No, you're not. You're out." So he walked me out the door.
And you were walking out the door of the courthouse.
Right.
And what happened next?
I walked out to get to my truck, and her car was parked right beside me. And never in my life have I ever thought about anything, but it's been 15 years that this lady has not respected me. It takes two to divorce. And these two, it wasn't, I had the love for my son, but I had no respect for her because she never respected me. And she was all disrespectful to everybody around me. It's just two people that click, and we didn't click.
Well, when you walked out and saw her car, what did you do?
I walked around it about 2 or 3 times, and I thought to myself, no, I shouldn't do it. But I had my key in my hand, and it was right beside.
From what had just happened.
Very much, very, very much.
How old were you when that happened?
68.
Had you ever been in trouble before? Have you ever been in trouble since?
No.
And how old are you now?
I am 74.
Okay. Where,
and I love my son.
of course, that you were charged with an offense is that right?
That's right.
Now, at that point, your granddaughter, James's youngest daughter, had she been born?
Yes.
Okay, so did you have any contact with Judge Blake prior to you getting a charge in her court?
No.
When you came to her court, did James come to court with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so was James, from your perspective, I mean, he was there with you showing support to you, is that right?
Right.
And the named victim in your indictment was Shannon, your now ex-daughter-in-law, is that right?
Right.
And now you pled guilty.
I did.
So there was no trial, no contest. I pass the witness.
Ms. Head, when did that case occur? When were you in front of Judge Blake on that case?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Ms. Head, when was that case that you had in front of Judge Blake?
When was it?
Yes, what year was it?
16, 17. 16 or 17, I can't remember.
Right, 8 years ago, roughly?
Probably.
Okay. And when you came to court, your son came with you?
Mm-hmm.
Did he take any active in participation in your plea of guilty that day?
Mm-mm.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes, no.
Okay. So when you got called up, you're the only one who went up in front of judge?
Yes.
Okay. Where was your son? Was he in the gallery?
No, he was in the courtroom.
Okay. So he just sat there and observed your case going proceeding?
Yes.
Okay. And did you have any kind of interaction with outside of the plea with Judge Blake?
Can you ask
No,
the question again?
Yes. Outside of the plea, Ms. Head, did you have any communication with Judge Blake?
no,
Okay. Did your son?
no.
Pass the witness, Judge.
No further questions.
Okay, Ms. Head, if you could step out again. Okay. Call your next witness, Ms. McDonald.
I have no further witnesses, Your Honor. We would rest at this